Okay, in this next video about significant figures, we want to talk about how we count the number of significant figures anytime we see a number that's given to us in a problem, lab data that we look at, anything that we didn't record ourselves, we're going to record with following the same rule, the rule of all the digits we know plus one that we estimate. But when someone else records the data, we need to be able to figure out how many significant figures they are talking about. There are four basic rules. The first one is the easiest to deal with. Any non-zero digit is always significant. So anything 1 through 9, always significant. Easiest rule of the four. The zeros are the most complicated because zeros could be written as a significant figure. They could also be there to hold the decimal place to make it what power of 10 we're dealing with. The first type of zero we refer to are trapped zeros. These are zeros that are found between two non-zero digits, like the 0 in 506. So the number 506, that zero is always going to be significant. If you have a zero between two other non-zero digits, so between the two other numbers 1 through 9, it will always be significant. And as many zeros as there are between two other non-zero digits, those will always be significant. The second type of zero we look at is what's known as a leading zero. This is a zero that comes before the first non-zero digit. These are never significant. These are always there to hold the decimal place. You would never write a zero before a non-zero digit to do anything other than hold the decimal place. So if you look at the example here, 0.0376. The zero that starts off the number, it comes before the first non-zero digit, 3. It is never significant. So there would only be 3 significant digits here, 3, 7, and 6. The last type of zeros are the most complicated of the four rules. These are the zeros that come at the end of a number, known as trailing zeros. They are sometimes significant, depends on the context. Trailing zeros are always significant if there is a decimal place in the number. 56,920 with a decimal place written there. That decimal is written to show that the zero on the end is significant. Or 0.4500. The two zeros here at the end of the number are significant because there's a decimal place. This zero is not because it's a leading zero. But the two zeros on the end, because there is a decimal place, are significant. Trailing zeros are never significant if there is not a decimal place. So in this case, 450, no decimal place here, so this zero is not significant. These rules apply just as well if a number is written in scientific notation. So if you see 1.1750 times 10 to the 12th, this zero would be significant because it comes after a decimal place. I think scientific notation is actually the easiest way with significant figures because if it's written in scientific notation, it's got to be a number between 1 and 10. So that you're going to have integers to start with that are non-zero. Zeros would only come at the end, and they would always be significant. You wouldn't write them, if you're doing scientific notation, correctly if they're not significant. Here we have a whole bunch of examples, and I think this makes a lot more sense if we talk through the examples. First case. What I'd like you to do before you try these, though, is press pause and try these yourself, and then come back and see the answers. If you realize after pressing play that you're getting some of them wrong, press pause again, try them again before you press play again to see the rest of the answers. So this first one, 37.53. 4 numbers, all non-zero, so we have 4 significant figures. 37.240. These 4 are non-zero, so we have 4. This 0 comes after a decimal place. We have the decimal place. So we have 5 significant figures. Trailing zeros after a decimal place are significant. This is a trapped 0. This is a trailing 0 after a decimal place. Both significant. So we have 4. Here, 4 leading zeros. Leading zeros are never significant, so we have 2. The 2 and the 4. In this case, a trapped 0, significant. Trailing 0 after a decimal place, significant. These two zeros are not, they're leading zeros, so we would have 4 significant figures. 2 and 4 here, significant. These zeros are trailing without a decimal place, so they are not significant. We would have 2 significant figures. Here we have 5, the 6, the 1, the 4, and the 2 trailing zeros after a decimal place. Here we would have 1 significant figure. The 1, the 0 is trailing, no decimal place, so not significant. And here we would finish up with 3. So following the rules, count the zeros are the hard ones to deal with. Leading zeros are never significant. Trap zeros always significant. Trailing zeros are significant only when there is a decimal place.